my fellow artist friends, and I just want to present one more lesson for you. We're gonna talk about landscape today, and the landscape which is we're gonna paint, we're gonna have the waterfall, and of course some event is the rain or snowfall, which is gonna after when the weather getting better and warmer start melting, and that snow which is melting becomes some creeks which is from the different level of the landscape streaming down, and that's create the waterfall. So usually in nature it's a very beautiful event, and a lot of people they hiking and they come to see specifically some beautiful waterfalls. Some of them they functioning whole summer, for instance, because the reservoirs of the water are so full, so that the water need to find a way how to get down, and that's what happens. The waterfall streaming down with the water, it's like a creek which is inclined from the top of the mountains or hills going down and find a way to the lake or a river or even ocean sometimes. It's really pretty at Hawaii, because if you ever been there, so you can see how beautiful waterfalls can be there. For instance, I have picture of those ones, and this of course will be this picture and that picture and maybe this picture, because it should be some interesting landscape around it with a lot of beautiful rocks and green grass or some trees, and this waterfall even has the rainbow next to it. So you can see the waterfalls usually in the springtime. They have a different characters, and they have a different type of the water stream. You always can see by the way how the water streams and what the heights of water has, which area it belongs to. For instance, this can be somewhere in a tropical forest in Brazil, and this picture can be Hawaii, because it's pretty big and full of waterfall. So the topic of the waterfall was kind of interesting for the artist for the long time, and that's why I want to show you a few artworks from the one French artist. His name Claude Lorraine. A lot of beautiful landscapes, and before him and few other artists, the landscape usually was only like a background for the other kind of compositions, like the compositions for the biblical stories, or just a story with a lot of people around it, or it can be the story from the myth. But this composition with the waterfall right here, actually just a composition which is has the nature is the main character, and maybe a little figure of the person there. So and that's how the landscape as a genre started from 18th century, when the artists started actually paint just a nature for the sake of painting nature, and people become just little tiny characters in that composition, in the same level as the animals or birds. They were just a part of this environment, and that's how the landscape become just an independent genre, not only just a background for the composition. And I want to show you the few pictures of the artists from the other European country, Netherlands. And in that country, a lot of artists like to make the compositions included the wind or water mills, and this is one of the water mill next to the creek, which has a little bit of waterfall going on. There you can see how the water is streaming from some higher elevation, and you can see that the part of this beautiful picture, it's a waterfall. Another one I'm going to show you right here, and this is just some remains of some building by the creek, which has the different elevation, and you can see the waterfall streaming from the high elevation to the creek or maybe river, and this kind of like a center of this composition, and there is no people in this composition. It's just a landscape, and that's how the waterfalls become one of the very interesting topic for artists to paint. In Europe in 18th and 19th century, that composition which is you saw before was from Netherlands, and I have few composition which is artists from England create, and this is the English gravure, and it has the beautiful waterfall there. The gravure is like a European way to say etching. Etching, it's a composition made with the graphic tool as the needle, and it's made on the metal and then printed with the special ink. So this is one of the composition with the waterfall, and this is more modern composition with a lot of waterfall. It's probably very early spring when the snow is melting and the river goes beyond the borders, and it's spreading to the both banks on the sides, and also create a lot of little waterfalls around. That one, it doesn't have like a high elevation, but still has the waterfall going on because just spring condition of the land create a lot of water reservoirs, and they just decided to go particular direction, sometimes random direction, and that's lead to the flood. But we're not talking about the disaster condition, we're talking about the beautiful waterfalls, which is we're gonna paint today with you. To save some time, I already put some sketch on my paper, and I just want to explain you what I want to do and how I want to create my composition. The first of all, when you're gonna start, you're gonna ask yourself how you want to locate your waterfall on the paper. I like to put it on a vertical composition because waterfalls usually stream down, and you need to have lots of room for it. So because you don't want your water going out from your paper, you actually need to have some stopper for it, so as a river or some place where your water will fall. And that's why I think that's the main purpose of thinking about the composition on this work. It's to create the particular environment on your painting that will actually has the entrance and lead to your composition. So my entrance here will be the actually some river bank right here, which is connect to my waterfall. So this is the rocks. Of course, I have to create the different elevation to make my waterfall stream down. So I have rocks on this side, and it's two levels of them, which is going down right here. And this is gonna be the small rock on the bottom. And this is gonna be just a bank of the river. And my waterfall, this is gonna be my waterfall, so which is gonna go down from the horizontal direction and stream here and break a little bit on some rock structure here, and gonna stream back. So if you once your waterfall looks interesting, you need to have some breaks on it. So that's this kind of like a stairs gonna break the destination of the water streaming down, and break the direction a little bit so that it's gonna be not boring but gonna have some interesting composition and dynamic. So on other side I will have another kind of big rock here, so and another one gonna be in the front here, and maybe one will be here. So I can have just a structure of different rocks on the back, and that one will be a little bit higher, and there's gonna be some flat place which is gonna have some grass, and here will be some rock, and over there behind will be just the trees. I have crowns with the trees, and one gonna be over here a little bit inclined on the side because that's a rock, and here I might have some rock too. So this is my composition. You can do composition a little bit different. You might just, for instance, if you think that's kind of hard for you to do this way, kind of like direct this on a diagonal way. That's, I think that will be interesting. But if you feel like it's gonna be a little bit hard for you, I can suggest you to use the different direction for a waterfall. Like, for instance, make it stream straight. This is kind of interesting composition too, but it's just easier for you to create it because the waterfall will just fall down and will not have too much details around. So tree you already know how to make, and you can put some mountains over there and the waterfall going down. Or you can just have the waterfall streaming from the top of some mountains and fall to the river like that. And I think so this is enough for the explanation so that we can start our work. You need for this lesson, of course, the paper and palette and the set of brushes, and I'm gonna have a few other colors compared with the just 5 we usually have. Add some colors as orange, and I will add some purple and lighter blue for this composition because I want to make it a little bit more colorful and save time on mixing so that we can work more and concentrate on our waterfall today. So first of all, I usually like to start with the background. That's why on my palette I'm gonna mix color for the blue sky. I think that's the blue sky will be appropriate for this composition because it's gonna kind of be the nice background for the waterfall. And I'm gonna use the lighter blue like this and add some white color in it and create a very light blue sky for us as a background for our composition. And with the blue sky here, I don't have too much space for the sky, so I'm just gonna have a very small amount of blue color mixed today because my sky is just on the top here, so I don't have too much room for sky this time. So, and I will just make the very light blue sky. It's gonna be the day, a sunny day, I think, and we will create that sunny day by showing the blue sky. So it's not the rainy day, it's a sunny blue beautiful day. And just like that I will stop for now because we can always come back to the sky. So my next object what I'm gonna paint, of course I will start with the waterfall. And for the waterfall I need first of all the white color with the slight blue. So I'll just get a lot of white, and maybe I would just a little bit of yellow, just this tiny bit of yellow. Very light color. So, and that's gonna be for my waterfall. So I'm just gonna do the waterfall with the light almost white color. So the reason why I'm working with this right now, because I'm excited of course about the painting waterfall, but another thing, I want to just reserve the spot for my waterfall, because if I don't, it's easy to get the rock color on it, and of course when we get at this spot more darker, so it's hard to create the water because the water will be very light in the waterfall. So we're just gonna reserve that spot, make sure that we have it. So, and then I will have some color for my rocks around this waterfall. And for the rocks, I think that's the good color will be gray. The gray color I have already mixed gray color, but you know how to do the gray color. You usually get the black and the white and then find the right proportion for that. So this is gray, which is I will use a little bit black in that, so to make it darker. So and that color I will use for my darker spots on these rocks. We're gonna speak about gray color next time, because gray color, as I told you probably before, if you remember, it's a very beautiful color, and it actually shows how artists knowing about the colors and what his knowledge about color showing to you, how he actually involved in his painting different shades of gray. That's how you can tell about the advanced level of the artist. So I also will use in my gray a little bit of white and orange, and that's gonna give me that very light gray color, which is I'm gonna use for the top of my mountains here. So the top of these rocks I have, it's not really mountains over here, but they might be behind from where my waterfall actually falling. So I get a little bit more orange in that color. So I see that all these colors, they can be considered as a gray. So we will make the next time composition with a lot of gray colors. So then you will have opportunity to learn how to create them and what colors to use. It seems very simple, it's just a black and white, but actually it's not, because any color can join this two color and create the different shade of a gray and create the beautiful compositions. Using that color you can create beautiful compositions. So that's what we're going to do. But today just trust me on that subject and try to create as more as you can that gray different shades for our mountains. And you can also add some blue in this gray, and that's gonna create the interesting grayish blue color, which is you can utilize for the rocks too. So this is how it's gonna look, the blue and black in the gray color. So I'm gonna use that for the farther rocks right there, because they will be farther. So I just want to use the different shade of the gray to showing that they kind of go farther a little bit from the sunshine, which is somewhere on that side, on the left hand side. So I just use that color for that side of rocks over there, and I will use a little bit more the lighter gray color for my rocks closer to the waterfall right here. So basically what I did, I just add some that light white with orange color, and that's create this interesting shade of this gray, which is kind of slightly lighter than the other one, and that's bring this rock closer to color with gray. Will looks like a stone color, and that's what we actually need. We need some stone color for our rocks around the waterfall. So with that brown, I will add some black in it, and that's gonna help me to create the darker shade of kind of fudge color for the rocks, and I will use that on this rock, which is over here. All these rocks, they need to be darker than the waterfall, because then the waterfall will stay lighter and will be the kind of light and watery, because the water usually doesn't have a color. It's like white color. Whatever you put in it, that's what it's become. So basically water reflect the color, so that's why we're gonna use just a slight blue, because guess why, we have the blue sky, so the water a little bit reflect the blue color, and it's also reflect the colors of the stones around. And that's why this some of the parts of the waterfall will have some dark colors in it, just to show that it's kind of translucent on the rocks, because the water is usually translucent. So that's what we do. And we just leave it like this. I also want to add the red color in this brown, because that's gonna kind of create a little bit of terracotta kind of color, which is a color of the brick, and that's kind of can be the rock color too. And I add a little bit black in that, and so let's make it a little bit darker. So I have that terracotta but darker color of the terracotta for my rocks over here. It's gonna be just a rock which is in the shadows over there. That's why it's considered that it's darker than the colors over here. It's all earthy colors. Earthy, by saying that I mean the colors which is brownish and dark gray and kind of ochre color, which is the orangey yellow color. So all these colors create the colors of the rocks and earth, and that's what we need for this composition, because we paint the rocky sides of the hills but lighter. So for that I will add some white and orange in it. So, and then it's gonna be some lighter brown, almost like a terracotta with white, but I made this from brown and orange and white. And this color, because we started already here, so I will use it for this spot, or for this rocks, because this kind of has more light, so that's why they are lighter rocks. So that might get some sunshine and lighter color on this spot. So, and same thing by the river right here, so we can add the lighter color here to reflect the sunshine a little bit. So then I will wash my brush, and I think I will be the color for the rock. And if you want to see one more time what the rocks colors look like, this is what I was telling you. It's a earthy colors, gray, bluish, and dark kind of brown fudge color. And it also can be the grass growing there. So basically you have few options for the colors you can use for the sides of your waterfall. So now I'm gonna add some black in my that light terracotta color. I will add some black in it, and that's gonna make this kind of orangey gray, and I will use it for that side of the mountain right here to make it darker. So I will add some blue in this, so, and more black. So then it's gonna help me to create the more intense colors for this rocks. I use that blue and the black color here for that rock formation here. See, that's better because it's kind of organized the surface here. So this is kind of goes farther in this rock, because the lighter color it comes closer on the front. And I will just stop with this dark color here and add a little bit lighter color, because white and orange in it. So then it's gonna be some lighter shade for the lighter area over here. So I just mix that color. So basically you just work with all these colors, you just adding some colors in them, and that helps you to keep kind of same family of colors. It's like a relatives, they kind of look like each other, but it also has some different characters. So the same thing, so you work in the same group of colors creating rocks, but you use few different shades. Like when we started, we create few works, which is we use only one main color, but we create some shades of this color, like orange for instance, and blue and purple and yellow. So we use that colors, but we create few different shades. So the same thing we work now with that grayish rocky color and create from this family of the colors the new colors. And what we're gonna do now, we're gonna put some lighter gray here, and then we're gonna finish our rock on the other side of the waterfall right here. Finish that rock which is behind this one. So, and that one was a little bit more brown, so I need more brown for my rock over there, and black, brown and black, and that helps me to you have to mix them really good, so that otherwise it's not gonna be the mixed color, it's gonna break down by the shades which is we have. And so I got this brown here for this side of the mountain on this rock, not mountain but rock. And I also gonna work on this right now, which is far away, and because of this farther rock, that location, it's farther, so I need the lighter gray for that, and kind of maybe brown too. So I will use the again my mix of the white and orange. It's that terracotta color in it, and I see if it's gonna work. So maybe not, but maybe it would. It will be. Yeah, it's gonna work. So I'll just use that color for that side, just to show that is farther away, that hill over there. And we'll just cover that with this light color and see later if we need to add some more color in it, or we can leave it like that. I will just use a little bit of darker shade for the farther side, so just to kind of shape the rock body of that rock over here and the body of this rock. So just to have like a little bit of few shades on it. So and I think that we need to finish that rock, so because it's kind of has the unfinished side on it, blue gray color. And that little white places, we need to color them so that they kind of look more finished then when you're done with your work. So I need now a darker rock right here, because that's kind of in the front and it has to be more bold. So I get my brown for that, and I get my black for that, and I get my red for that. So I will just create the bold color for this rock formation in the front. So maybe even use more black. That's kind of dark purple here. And actually the good idea to add some purple in that, because I have the ready-made purple, and I can use a little bit of that purple for my earthy colors. We'll see how that works. A little bit translucent, that purple, that's why I actually don't like it too much, but if I put more black in the mix, I kind of can settle for that color. And it's pretty. It's kind of has resemblance with that, but it's darker, so that's gonna help us to have like a more bold color in the front, which will be the good support for the water floor right here. So and the good background for the water too. Purple. I just add a little bit blue in my mix, so let's create that. Basically, you're building the mountains like we did before, but they're not that purple, but they're more rocky color, and the rocky colors are they more earthy. So that's what we have right now here, just to make a kind of the difference between shades of this color. Some of them, these ones are behind. Remember how we did in the picture of the savannah, and when we just create mountains before. So it's important to show the shadow. Kind of stop and see what I have right now, and I think that I can work on that rock, which is over here, and I will use a little bit of green for my gray. So basically I will create the black and brown and green for this rock, and you will see how green with the brown can be the rocky color, but it has a little bit different shade, so then what we need to have a different shade for our rock. So it's basically like the stained glass composition. We're just using colors to create that interesting background for our waterfall, right? So I got this color, and it's kind of earthy green brown color, and I will use that for this. It's a little bit translucent, so but that's okay. So we can get some translucency to that spot, because it's next to the water, so it doesn't have to be too dark. So kind of come gently close to the water, because remember I told you that be careful, don't put too much of color next to the water, so that we don't damage our water floor here. And I used that orange and white color next to that earthy color, just to get the nice smooth connection with the water here. As the little break for the waterfall, so it's like that rock, it's a little bit extended in a water surface right here, so then it's caused that water just to have a little break here. And I will come back to that earthy brown green color for my rock formation here. I'm gonna have a nice flow. So our strokes are going up from the top to the bottom, so we kind of help to create that rocks formations with our strokes too. So we work on it with the kind of diagonal strokes, and some of them vertical. So that's what you're doing, just to create that interesting layout of your rocks. And now we're gonna change the way how our strokes will go, because we're gonna work on our river part, or I guess it's a river, so I think that is looks more like a river. So I will create that nice flow of the river on the bottom, and I will use the blue color for that. Blue, dark blue and light blue together, and the black color just to create that dark water surface on my picture. Color right here, it's kind of has a slide of gray, but it's blue, still blue color. So, and I will use my strokes with the brush going more flat and more horizontal. So because that's gonna help us to kind of show that's the river floor. So the river kind of slide from that right side to that left side, but with a little bit of elevation, goes from the top of the right side to the corner of the left side. And don't put too many strokes by the waterfall, because we need to leave a little bit of room for water to touch and rebounds from the river, so that we can show how the water falling. So that's our main composition purpose, to show that the water actually doesn't stay, but it's flow. And that's when we're gonna change the brush and use the smaller brush for that, to show that stream of the water. We're in color, and it's actually embraced in itself that rocky colors too, so that's why it can be just blue. It's gonna have some shades of rocky colors too. So then I add a little bit of purple on that. So yeah, but don't use a very intense blue for this, because then it's become the ocean color, and that's what we don't need. We still has to have like a lighter option for that blue color, not too light but not too bright, so it's kind of in the between of the ocean color and lighter color for the waterfalls. So and I will make another rock here, just because I don't want that water to be too wide over there. So that's gonna be the connection over here, and I will use the darker brown color for the rock over here on the front, and I use the brown with purple right here. So that helps me to create the rock color here. So and that's gonna be the, maybe when it's a little bit more dry, we can add some more intense color for this, but for now it's okay, and we can leave it like this. And over here we can actually have a little bit darker color by the end of these rocks, because they're probably wet from the water, so they might be darker. So that's why I allowed myself to mix a little bit darker shade of this color, just to closer to the river, so that it's gonna shows the rocks, they kind of on the borders between the water over here and the dry spots. So, and the same thing over here, this rock, I want to do it a little bit darker, because that's now when it's dry, and you know how acrylic colors become lighter when they dry, especially when we use gray, and gray actually contain the white color, and the white color that make that colors lighter when they dark. So then we need the second layer of the colors, and that's gonna help us to create the right shades of the rocky structures right now, and leave it for a while. And I just want to use a little bit of lighter version of this color for my rock over there, because that's ended up being a little bit lighter than it should. So because then when we do this a little bit lighter, when that's gonna let this rock to pop a little bit and make it more bold on the front. So and then this rock over there will be kind of slightly more gray, but we're gonna leave that part lighter, because that's where the sun hit that rock, so that's gonna help to show the 3D records of that, so that we will try to create the 3D atmosphere for this composition. Get a little bit of light here, just for being kind of on the front too, but from the other side of the waterfall, so we can get some light color on it. And also over here, that place, it's kind of flat, so we can actually add some grass on that, and grass will bring a little bit different colors to it, so why not, right? So that's for the grass. We're gonna use green, and we're gonna use some black, but less black than we use for that earthy color. We're just gonna have a little bit of black in it, and then we're gonna use some brown too. So that's gonna help us create some green or nice bold color for the grass over here. For some grass growing here. And why not, right? So it might be some growing here because that's create that different kind of stair here between the rocks, and the green will be appropriate here because of course grass like to grow somewhere on spots where it's more moist, and it's create some place, the nice nook for this grass to grow on some rocks. So why not? So here too, and maybe even over there too. Still might be some grass growing on this surface too. Some lighter green we can use for that spot over here, and that can be some grass over here too. For now I can stop with the grass, and oh, maybe over here because that's the actually the place where the trees are growing, so we can put some grass over there too, and on this hill too. Get some lighter grass on it, so because it's touch some sunshine over there, and that can be also on this side over there. And maybe we can do it a little bit later too and see how it's all dry. So for now I want to finish with the trees, which is gonna be on the back over there, where we like create the second background after sky for us, and we're gonna use the green color for this trees over there, but has some blue in it because they're far away, and you know how it's like everything is far away, has a little bit of translucence and the colder shades, and the green will be colder, more emerald color for that trees, and I can usually add in emerald some white to make it even lighter. So I use that light green, and I also put some white in it, and blue and green, create some cold green color for my trees behind that rocks over here. Have the more bolder color, and see what I do. I use just a shape for this tree. I'm not like start from the gridded branches. I'm not actually working on branches. I'm working on the tree as the shape, like hairs on our scalp when the person going farther, so you can see just a contour of the hair. So that's what I'm doing right now. So it's like a contour of the leaves on this tree, and I will use even a lighter color for the trees behind. I'll use some blue in my light shade of green, and that's gonna be, see, it's gonna be lighter like that, and even more blue in this because that's farther. So and that's, I will have this color for that farther tree, create that background over there. So and this tree will be more brighter because it's closer to us, so I will use more darker green for this tree on this side. So I will use more darker bold green for that, maybe a little bit more green, so that's too blue. So but we will see what we can do maybe a little bit later. So this is my tree, this maybe the smaller tree right here, the darker shades of this green. And I will just add some rocks over there, so that it's gonna be kind of like farther rocks formation over there. So I will use some gray color like that, and just for that rocks over there. So then we just make them lighter, And over there we can use more gray and blue. Use the very light gray right there, just to feel that surface over there, and maybe have some over there and a little bit behind. That's might be the still sky, room for sky there. So I just need to clean my brush very well, because this is the very delicate blue color there. So then we need the light. So I'll just gonna use that light blue to cover the gaps between the tree with the, and then it's kind of nice to kind of intensify a little bit the shape of the sky and tree together, so that they kind of get that translucence, because they're far. Make it this sky over there between trees too dark, because that's the kind of closer to horizon. And if you remember that we usually get lighter sky closer to horizon. We're causing some gaps on sky, so because sky shouldn't have any gaps, right, except the clouds. But we don't work on clouds right now, because that's not what our purpose for the lesson today. We're gonna work on clouds next time for that kind of grayish rainy day. That will be our next lesson for. But for today, we just need a nice calm daytime color for the sky. So now when we almost finish with the old background on the picture, we will come back to our waterfall, because that's going to be the lightest object on our picture, and we have to be very careful. So with everything else is done, that's what important to concentrate on that and finish our waterfall with the way how it's gonna show that the water actually moving. So that's not easy, but we will try. And if you can make it, that's okay, but you still work on it, you try, and that's how you gain your experience, and maybe next time will be better. So always kind of pat yourself on the back and tell yourself that you did a good job, because that's the first time you're trying, so don't be too hard on yourself. And stamps for these trees, I forgot that it should be stamps there, so I'll just do, first of all, I will do some light rocks color, because it's still some rocks behind that hill, so we can just work a little bit on that color over there. Will help us to create that. And I think that will be enough for now. And we can just do with the little tiny brush the stems and branches for the tree. So it's not going to be too dark. We just use the brown with gray. So just to create some branches for the trees. But because they're far away, we're not going to work on that too much. So just to show us that that's actually trees. So we need some branches for them. They kind of like looks the branches, you can see them all, so you kind of work on them and show just a little bit of like the main branch and a little bit of branches going farther toward the top of the tree. They will have some branches, right? We can work on this a little bit later. And I also want to let you know that for your waterfall now, I want to show you some approach to how to create that waterfall in them. So I need the brush, not too big, but not too small too. So I'm gonna have the medium size of brush, and then I will create some gray color from my black and white, and that gray shade will be just a straight gray, so without anything else, just a black and white. And so then what you're gonna do, you're gonna have some strokes of this gray color over your light blue, and they will kind of go the same parallel way as your water stream. And you kind of have to think about the water which is running from the higher elevation down, and it has some speed. And so basically what you're gonna do, you're gonna show with your strokes that direction of the water, the fine water direction. It might be straight, it might be sideways, it can be diagonal, but it's flowing. So that's what we're trying to show. We're trying to show that water flow going from the top to the bottom of this river, and meet that water inside the river. So, and the direction will change. So here the water will be a little bit more inclined that way, so we can follow these strokes kind of showing the direction of the streaming water. And over here it's a breaking point, so on the breaking point the water will change the direction, because now that's gonna go with this direction. And I will use just a white color, just a straight white color from the can, to show the direction of the water now. So if here it was just streaming straight, and then on that corner it's changing the direction, so that corner will be the lightest on your picture. So we're gonna show that breaking point of the water over here was just a clean white color. Same thing will be here, because here, because of the rocks, the water changed the direction. And that's what we're doing. We're kind of showing a little bit of this flow of the water changing the direction. And then we kind of will follow the water stream right here. And that's gonna be just the direction of the water streaming down to the river. And that's the breaking point too. So we have one when the water changes the angle from being just a flat and going for the flat surface right here, and then it's break and change the direction, change the angle. That's why it's fall, right? Because the water falling. And now over here on the bottom, that's going to be another breaking point when the water rebounds from the surface of the river, because it's touched from the distance and from that speed which is it's falling, and the velocity of this movement will be really high. Sometimes you can just even get down from your feet when you get into the very fast falling water. So here we're just gonna rebound that water from the surface of the river, kind of a little bit randomly, but we're just imagining that the water touched the ground and kind of make the firework of the droplets of the water from the surface. And then it's gonna be blue on the bottom, because that's gonna meet that river water and become blue. So then here we can use some that rebounds water with the blue color, but lighter than the river color flow of the river, and kind of get into that. It's diffusing the water, and that's what we're using, that medium color between the color of the waterfall and the river color. So we can kind of use that blue for the river we had, and just melt this with a little bit lighter white on our brush, and get into that flow of the water with your waterfall. Waterfall will get into the river. So we can use the lighter blue for the side of the river, because it still will be kind of a lighter color here, because the waterfall entrance that river was the lighter color, because it's kind of half foam. It's not only water, like as you see here, it's white because it has the foam from that running streaming water, and it's has the white in it because the water is foaming from the going so fast, streaming so fast into the water of the river surface. So just to show the movement of the water, it helps to show that the river is moving, and close that white gaps on your picture. I'm just gonna use also the darker blue, some strokes on the water to just create the surface of the water and show the flow. And it's kind of make the water stream to that direction. And I think that we can leave it for now just like that, and come back to our waterfall a little bit, and then I will come back to my waterfall. Now I will come back with that bluish gray color, just to show the movement more, because I kind of did, but on a certain way it's kind of missing some more boldness in it. So I still have the same color, kind of light blue, just like that, and that's for my waterfall. So what we're doing now, we're kind of showing the movement of the water, what we did in the river, but now we're kind of more in the water, streaming from the mountains. And I think that I can add some darker blue to the end of this waterfall where it's touching the surface of the river, just because it's become more bolder there. So I will use some more intense blue for that. because the water kind of create and embracing in it is because it's translucent. The whole colors which is it's surrounded. So I think that would be not mistake to add some blue in it because it's kind of shade of the blue sky, and it's also the shade of the river, and so that's, and it's kind of will give a little bit of movement to the waterfall too. Work a little bit on the rocks to cover that empty object and get some lighter spots for the sunshine, which is comes from that direction, I think. So what we're gonna do, we'll just highlight a little bit our rocks with the light, so we can add some brown to it. And then I will work a little bit on that rock which is behind with the green gray color. Then that which is create that break for the waterfall. So this can be a little bit darker by the borders with another rock right here. Like I said, it has to be kind of wet a little bit because of the water there. And the other rock has more brown, so we can add some brown in it. Kind of shape up a little bit that rock too. And then I also use a little bit of highlights because it's kind of, some of the spaces are too dark, so I will use some grass, lighter grass color for highlight that heals a little bit. So I think over here, here too. Why not? And closer to this waterfall part, we can put some, because it's a daylight, so it can be that dark over there, even if it's kind of under the trees a little bit. So, but grass here will highlight a little bit that rocks. So this is just lovely details which just help to kind of create the levels and layers on your work, help you to define your subjects here, helps for making your picture more details and showing the actually from where the light comes. That's one of the way to do it, because the lights I decided they comes from there, so that's all my hills are lighter from that side. So, and also I can add some highlight on the other rocks on, for instance, over here. It's nice to highlight a little bit, and also here, because that's kind of the breaking point for the water, so the lights comes on the flat surface here. So shapes as the mountains, but they just kind of mountains in miniature, so they're just a small version of the mountains, and they have the same structure, kind of earthy and rocky structure. and that's what you're showing on your picture, that that rocks have the particular shape, and that's what will look like rock. If you don't follow that shape, so it's not gonna be the rock. So you can convince anybody who look at your picture that that's gonna be the rock. On the borders between the waterfall, be careful so that you don't overcolor it or make it too light. Highlights. On the surface of the river, just to show that's the water kind of dropped in and kind of spread a little bit of light. And especially in some little corners, which is a water flow create, like for instance here, when it's touched that angle, and same thing here by the water, and here when it just flow. So that's the main touch points for showing us the water streaming. That's how we can actually show that's the water falling. So that's we use some highlights of colors, white and that blue, to show the places where the water actually get the more light. Same as the rocks, same thing as the touch points for some water droplets to shine. And I think that just like that, we basically can finish our work, because that's what our purpose was, to show the waterfall. We're not gonna work too much on the other details. So I just want to remind you one more time that our purpose today was to showing that water flow streaming to the river, as we were looking at our examples here and here. You can use the direction for your water as way as you want. You can put the diagonal or vertical, as easier for you to work on it. That's more confident you will be, and you create the beautiful artwork on the end. Thank you for listening. Like my page and subscribe my lessons. And if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them. Have a good and productive day. Thank you. Bye.